Methinks we be boned.
To be totally honest, I'm happy to not have to talk about this stuff anymore because I'm sick of talking about KTM, I'm sick of bad news, and I'm gonna just tell you right now, I don't think this is a happy ending for KTM. Everybody and their mother, including Fortnite, has talked about this, so I'm gonna try to keep this one short and sweet, so let's just dive on in.
And we're on the KTM today. I think it is fitting that I have brought this thing out. I've finally gotten it it's actually been road ready for a while. I just haven't made any content with it because I've been so busy. But it's fitting that we're on the KTM to talk about KTM today because I think this thing just became a collector's item. I really do. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But for those of you who have been paying attention, probably everybody in the motorcycle industry at this point has seen Ryan's video. I'm really not going to go over too many of the details because his video is going to do a better job than I can. I don't know how he got it out so fast. Actually, I do know how he got it out so fast. He did most of the video beforehand. And then his editing team worked a miracle to get it out in 24 hours. So, to the folks behind the scenes at Fortnite, I see you. But the headline is KTM has been saved. They are coming out of the other side of their restructuring. They are allowed to continue, but are they? Because if you read between the lines, KTM is cooked. They're done. And the real bummer for me is that it's not the guy at the top who's going to feel it the worst. There's going to be some other CEO who comes in and runs it. I'm sure that Neumeister and Pierer, they're going to get booted. And then somebody else will come in. KTM will find their Jochen Zeitz. And he'll actually probably do a good job because at the end of the day, you look at Harley Davidson, they keep doing the same thing, so it has to keep working. But then again, they had a biblically bad last quarter, so who knows? I just think everybody's going to have a biblically bad last quarter. I mean, think about it. Everybody out there is, cashing in the gold bars that grandma kept under the mattress so that they could buy a dozen eggs right now. I'm joking.
Okay, this is where I'm completely out of my depth. Everything I'm getting from videos, I'm getting from reporting, and then I'm getting from Pure Mobility Group's online newsroom, which you can go check out yourself. They make public statements there all the time. Here's the situation as I understand it. Pure Mobility Group on the 23rd of January said that they had raised the 30% they need to pay down their debt in the restructuring. That was going to come in investors, and that's probably where the 2-year timetable came from, because my guess is KTM and Pure would want to take a chunk of that money and throw it towards the debt as a show of goodwill, and then take the rest to ramp production back up. Now enter the villain of this chapter of the story, a hedge fund. Yeah, they're screwed. They put the squeeze on KTM to try and get them to shrink that timetable, and now it's 90 days. So they have until May 23rd to pay back the 548 million euros that they owe. They need 50 million euros in liquid capital, they claim, to get production back up and running. But they also made a statement on the same day saying that they need 800 million euros in capital. Personally, I'm hoping it's the 50 million because Pure is hoping to get roughly somewhere in the double-digit millions for their 25% share of MV Agusta, and that would essentially cover most of that without having to take 1.5 times the debt that they just paid off. Okay, this is editing Jake looking at this stuff 24 hours later with fresh eyes. And like I said, I'm out of my depth, and this is why this section is happening in the office and not on the bike. Let's assume that they're going for that 800 million euro number. Of that 800, 548 goes to pay the restructuring cash quota. Then of the remaining 252 million, they need 50 million to ramp up production. Where's the other 202 million going? This is why that number doesn't make any sense to me.
It feels like they're taking one step forward and 1.5 steps back, and it really sucks because KTM is still trying to ramp production. You can't just stop a company on a dime and then hope for it to get right back to where it was. Boy, oh boy, this KTM bonfire, it's burning bright. You might want to protect your eyes. But seriously, Flying Eyes makes the best sunglasses for a motorcyclist because they fit nicely between your head and your helmet right here. And these stems, these are the thick boy stems. They bend all the way around. I can literally touch the glass with it. I've been wearing Flying Eyes for like 5 years at this point, and I was wearing them before they were a sponsor. Flying Eyes is a small team out here in Austin. They're actually onshoring all of their production, which that's pretty rare right about now. So you are supporting local if you buy from Flying Eyes, which I highly encourage. They even have prescription options available. So click that link down in the description below and use the code SC10 to get 10% off your order. Now that everybody's eyes are comfortably protected from the blaze, we can talk about what happens now, right? I could talk forever about how often I've seen a company get bought out and stripped for parts by hedge funds, venture capitalist firms, by private equity, all of this stuff. Because essentially what they're doing is they're trying to return as much money as humanly possible. That and passionate motorcycling, those don't mix. That's part of the reason why KTM's in the situation they are. I mean, look at MV Agusta, look at Ducati, look at any Italian manufacturer. They have struggled because they're passionate about the product. And when you're passionate about something, you're not gonna skimp. And when you don't skimp, you have to charge a bunch of money. It leads to really fun products for enthusiasts. But KTM was never gonna go toe-to-toe with Kawasaki. They were never gonna go toe-to-toe with the Japanese bikes. But I would so much rather ride one of these than a Japanese motorcycle, because let's be real, only a European would make this kind of a motorcycle. Only a European would make a 700cc single that revs out like this. I mean, just look at the new DRZ4 SM and 4S. Everybody was really hoping that we'd see that at 450 or 500, but it is the safest option Suzuki could have done. And I'm sure it's going to do fine, even though I did the math, and conservatively, it's $10,500 out the door. I'm sure it's going to sell fine. They're doing pre-sales now, for God's sake. But it ain't this. There is no substitute for a Super Duke, right? There is no substitute for an 890. There just isn't. If you've ridden one of those motorcycles, you know that there's something deeply, weirdly wrong and animalistic about those bikes, but they're so much fun. Ever since I got on a KTM for the first time, I realized that they do nothing but squeeze fun out of every cubic centimeter. They're unabashed. They're extreme. They're almost too extreme in some cases. I mean, hell, the 1390, does the world need a 1400cc V-twin sport bike? But there's just something in the water in Austria that makes those people different. And that's why companies generally, successful motorcycle companies, they have a few motorcycles that are aimed at enthusiasts. You look at Yamaha, XSR 900, MT-09, MT-10, R1. Those are enthusiast motorcycles. The R9, a little bit more enthusiast, but I would say it was a safe bet as soon as the R7 came out. But then the rest of their offering is very safe. Again, we talked about the DRZ. The DRZ is very safe. This is one of the last KTMs where the company did not play it safe. And that's why it rides like this. because KTM gave no f***s, man. But KTM just got on the Versus 650 of life, and its soul has been viciously sucked out of its butthole and replaced by the sock puppet hand that is Wall Street. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Let me know your thoughts. Do you care if KTM becomes a little bit more normal, or are you going to miss the old KTM, the more insane KTM? Or do you think that this is going to be the one magnanimous hedge fund that's just going to let them do their thing? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.